जो भी करते हैं, यू नो, व्हाटएवर वी डू इन आवर लाइफ, whether we become a CMA or anyone else, मकसद क्या है? मकसद पैसा कमाना नहीं है, मकसद खुश रहना है। यस और नो? तो कई बार हम लोग क्या करते हैं लाइफ में, लोग है ना भूल जाते हैं कि पैसा क्यों कमा रहे हैं। लोग भूल जाते हैं पैसा इसलिए कमा रहे हैं क्योंकि खुश रहना है। तो खुश रहना उनके दिमाग से निकल जाता है, खाली पैसे के ऊपर फोकस रहता है। एंड इन दी एंड यू नो व्हाट हैपेंस, दीस पीपल रिग्रेट, अरे क्या किया, पूरा जीवन निकाल दिया, और जो खुशी जिसके लिए हम करते थे वो तो उसका हमें ध्यान ही नहीं था। एंड दैट इज व्हाट ऑल ऑफ यू मस्ट डू। एंड नंबर 2, टेक केयर ऑफ योर हेल्थ। आई कैन टेल यू, अगर आपको लाइफ में खुश होना है ना, तो उसका एक ही पर्याय है, एंड दैट इज टू बी फिट। अगर आप हेल्दी नहीं हो तो आप कितने भी वेल्दी रहने दो, आपको हैप्पीनेस नहीं रहने वाली है। सो as a professional myself, as a practicing professional, I thought all of you youngsters to share this with every one of you. And once you start keeping yourself fit, believe me, rest of the things fall automatically. बाकी जो सब है ना वो अपने आप आना शुरू हो जाता है, और I am sure that will happen in the life of every one of you. ये मैं क्यों कह रहा हूँ? ये मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ क्योंकि लाइफ में याद रखिए, if you make a mistake, then having made that mistake, आप कितना भी प्रेयर करो वो मिस्टेक अनडू नहीं होती है। ये जो अनडू की कमांड है ना वो खाली माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में है, बाकी और कहीं पर कहीं के लाइफ और लाइफ में तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं है। ऐसा नहीं कि कोई गलती कर दी अब तो कोई अनडू का बटन दबा दें ताकि वो पूरा रिवर्स हो जाए, ऐसा कुछ होने वाला नहीं है। सो दैट इज व्हाट वी नीड टू रिमेंबर कि लाइफ में अगर कोई गलती कर दी तो फिर ध्यान रखिए उसको रिवर्स करने का कोई तरीका नहीं है, कितनी भी प्रेयर करो कुछ होता नहीं है। एक किस्सा बताता हूँ। बिफोर कोविड आई हैड अ प्रोग्राम इन दुबई। तो जिन्होंने वो प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज किया था उन्होंने मुझसे कहा, सर प्लीज बी माय पर्सनल गेस्ट, स्टे एट माय होम, गिव मी द अपॉर्चुनिटी ऑफ यू नो होस्टिंग यू एट माय प्लेस। तो मैं उनके घर पे ठहरा, और अगले दिन सुबह हम प्रोग्राम के लिए जाने वाले थे, जिस होटल में प्रोग्राम था। तो हम जैसे ही निकलने लगे तो उनका एक छोटा सा बच्चा था, 8 साल का होगा शायद, वो भगवान की गणपति बप्पा की तस्वीर लगी थी एक जगह पे, और उसके आगे गणपति बप्पा के आमने सामने खड़े होके हाथ जोड़ के बोला था, हे गणपति बप्पा, दुबई को हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी बना दो। दुबई को हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी बना दो, दुबई को हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी बना दो, दुबई को हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी बना दो। अब ये बच्चे का हिंदुस्तान के प्रति इतना प्रेम देख के मेरा दिल भर आया और मुझसे रहा नहीं गया। मैंने कहा, मैं गया उस बच्चे के पास में, मैंने कहा बेटा तुम्हारे हिंदुस्तान प्रेम की तारीफ करनी चाहिए, पर वो दुबई को हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी बना दो, क्या बाद में बड़ा होके पॉलिटिशियन बनने का प्लान है? तो बच्चा बोलता है, अंकल पॉलिटिशियन बनने का कोई प्लान नहीं है। दरअसल बात यह है कि कल मेरा एग्जाम था, उस एग्जाम पेपर में एक क्वेश्चन था, और क्वेश्चन ये था कि हिंदुस्तान की राजधानी क्या है और मैं दुबई लेके आया हूँ। सो रिमेंबर, लाइफ में अगर एक गलती कर दी तो उसको रिवर्स करने का कोई कितनी भी प्रार्थना करो कुछ होता नहीं है, वो आप रिवर्स नहीं कर सकते। आप यंग हो, यू आर जस्ट स्टार्टिंग योर करियर। सो रिमेंबर, आई एम हियर ऑन दिस अर्थ टू लिव माई लाइफ इन हैप्पीनेस and also spread this happiness among everyone around me. Are you with me? Isn't it? Yeah. और याद रखिए, अगर आपके मन में ये भाव है कि मैं दुनिया में खुशियां बांटूं, तो जिसको हम परमात्मा कहते हैं ना, परमेश्वर कहते हैं, वो आपको क्या देगा? आपकी झोली में वो क्या देगा? खुशियां ही खुशियां देगा। क्यों देगा? क्योंकि आप वो खुशियां बांटना चाहते हो। और आप कोई चीज कब बांट सकते हो? आप कोई चीज तभी बांट सकते हो जब वो चीज आपके पास में हो। He would ensure that you will get all the happiness. So with this, friends, let's start the program. Overview of the mystification of Indian accounting standards. तो पहले तो बता दूं कि I don't intend to give a lecture. तो मेरा ऐसा कोई प्लान नहीं है कि मैं आपको लंबा सा लेक्चर देके बोर करूं और सुला दूं और आप लोग इंतजार करें कि कब सबका लेक्चर खत्म हो, कब हम लोग घर जाएंगे। It's going to be interactive session, right? So मैं चाहूँगा कि मैं जो भी आपसे डिस्कस करूँ उसके सवाल जवाब हम करें, right? So when I ask you questions, you can also ask me questions. I will try and answer those questions as much as I can. So index हम सभी को मालूम है what is Indes, why Indes, for whom Indes, how many Indeses, everyone, कितने हैं टोटल मिला के? 39, right? So all together there are in 39 accounting standards. और देखो मेरा I will tell you my experience of learning. So जो मैंने सीखा मेरी लाइफ में और मैंने ये रियलाइज किया कि जब भी आप कोई चीज़ को पढ़ना चाहते हो, समझना चाहते हो, तो सबसे पहले ये दिमाग लगा के सोच लो कि ये चीज़ किस लिए है. You know what is the purpose of this whatever I am reading, उसका मकसद क्या है. वो एक बार मकसद समझ में आ जाए ना तो फिर बाकी सारी चीज़ें ऑटोमेटिकली दे स्टार्ट फॉलोइंग इन लाइन. तो इंडेक्स का भी मतलब समझ लीजिए. इंडेक्स का मतलब क्या है अभी बता देता हूँ. इंडेक्स का सिंपल सा मतलब ये है कि पुराने ज़माने में छोटी छोटी कंपनियाँ हुआ करती थी, राइट. कंपनियाँ भी नहीं होती थी, प्रॉपर्टी बिजनेस होता था, है ना. तो प्रॉपर्टी बिजनेस है, मेरा बिजनेस है, मैं ही उसका मालिक हूँ, मैं ही उसका मैनेजर हूँ. और अगर मैं ही उसका मालिक हूँ और मैं ही उसका मैनेजर हूँ तो क्या मैं उसमें घोटाला करूँगा वो इस बिजनेस में? Isn't it? घोटाला नहीं करूँगा. क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है मैनेजर भी मैं ही हूँ और मालिक भी मैं ही हूँ. अगर मैंने मैनेजर बनकर कुछ घोटाला करने की कोशिश करी तो ऐसा नहीं कि उसका नुकसान किसी और को होने वाला है, उसका नुकसान मुझे ही होने वाला है. सो देयर वाज नो वरीज, कोई चिंता की बात नहीं थी. मैनेजर और ओनर वर सेम. जैसे जैसे बिजनेस ग्रो होते गए, राइट. सो प्रोप्राइटरशिप से पार्टनरशिप हुई, पार्टनरशिप से फिर प्राइवेट लिमिटेड हुई, प्राइवेट लिमिटेड से फिर पब्लिक लिमिटेड हुई, पब्लिक लिमिटेड से फिर लिस्टेड कंपनी हुई, लिस्टेड कंपनी से फिर ग्लोबल कंपनी हो गई. और ग्लोबल कंपनी हमें मालूम है किस साइज की है आज की तारीख में. TCS है, विप्रो है, इतनी सारी कंपनियां हैं, ग्लोबल कंपनीज हैं. तो हम देखते हैं कि ये जो कंपनीज हैं इनके जो मैनेजर हैं और इनके जो ओनर्स हैं आर दे सेम? दे आर नॉट सेम, राइट. सो मैनेजर्स एंड ओनर्स आर नॉट सेम. छोड़िए आज की तारीख में दुनिया में सारे बिजनेसेस के छोटे वालों को जोड़ दो, बड़े बड़े जितने बिजनेस हैं उनके मैनेजर और उनके मालिक सेम नहीं हैं. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर मैनेजर ने कुछ घोटाला किया तो उसका नुकसान किसको होगा? मालिक को होगा, राइट. सो अब मालिक तो हर बिजनेस को दे नहीं सकता. रतन टाटा है, कैन ही मैनेज ऑल हिज कंपनीज बाय हिमसेल्फ? इज इट पॉसिबल? नहीं पॉसिबल है. बराबर बजाज है या अंबानी है या अडानी है या दुनिया के जितने भी बड़े बिजनेसमैन हैं और दे इन्वेस्ट मनी ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड. सो इज इट पॉसिबल फॉर देम? उनकी 200 कंपनियां हैं, 300 कंपनियां हैं, 400 कंपनियां हैं, 500 कंपनियां हैं. इज इट पॉसिबल फॉर देम टू गो एंड मैनेज एवरी कंपनी बाय देमसेल्व्स? जस्ट नॉट पॉसिबल. So how do you do it? You appoint managers. So if you appoint managers, can you just close your eyes and sleep at home, hoping that the manager would do his job well? Can you do that? Of course you cannot do that. Because if you do that, then you will sleep forever. और जो मैनेजर होगा आपका बिजनेस अपने नाम से करके भाग जाएगा. So अब उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए क्या करा जाए? उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए मालिक बोलता है मैनेजर को कि तुम जो भी बिजनेस में कर रहे हो कीप ऑन रिपोर्टिंग इट टू मी फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम, राइट. सो आप जो भी कर रहे हो मुझे मालूम पड़ते रहना चाहिए. तो वो कैसे रिपोर्टिंग होगी? वो रिपोर्टिंग होगी थ्रू दी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, इजंट इट. तो जो मैनेजर है उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि P&L बनाओ, बैलेंस शीट बनाओ, कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बनाओ, और भी जो इन्फॉर्मेशन मुझे चाहिए वो सारी मुझे बना के दो. तो ठीक था अगर मेरा बिजनेस हिंदुस्तान में था या मेरा बिजनेस खाली अमेरिका में था या मेरा बिजनेस खाली चाइना में था या मेरा बिजनेस खाली यूरोप में था, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. क्यों? क्योंकि मेरी सारी कंपनियां इंडिया में हैं, इंडिया के अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स को मैं समझता हूं, तो मुझे कुछ परवाह करने की जरूरत नहीं है. पर अब क्या हुआ? अब ये हुआ कि मेरा बिजनेस चाइना में भी है, यूरोप में भी है, अमेरिका में भी है, साउथ अमेरिका में भी है, सेंट्रल अमेरिका में भी है, सब जगह पे है. और सब जगह की अकाउंटिंग अलग अलग. अगर सब जगह की अकाउंटिंग अलग अलग है, देन हाउ डू आई अंडरस्टैंड कि चाइना की जो मेरी कंपनी है उसके ऑपरेशंस में क्या हो रहा है? कैसे मुझे मालूम पड़ेगा? या तो मुझे चाइनीज अकाउंटिंग समझनी पड़ेगी, इजंट इट. इज इट पॉसिबल फॉर मी एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग कि दुनिया में 200 कंट्रीज हैं और 200 कंट्रीज की जो अकाउंटिंग सिस्टम है एज रतन टाटा और एज मुकेश अंबानी आई अंडरस्टैंड द अकाउंटिंग ऑफ ऑल दोस कंट्रीज? इज इट पॉसिबल? ऑफ कोर्स इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. सो जैसे जैसे ग्लोबलाइजेशन होता गया तो जो अकाउंटिंग सेटिंग बॉडीज हैं ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड उन्होंने इस चीज को समझा, बिजनेस एसोसिएशंस ने इस चीज को समझा और बिजनेसमैन ने भी इस चीज को समझा दैट टाइम हैज कम दैट वी मस्ट हैव अ कॉमन अकाउंटिंग लैंग्वेज. एंड व्हाई कॉमन अकाउंटिंग लैंग्वेज? Because if I have a company in Europe, or if I have a company in America, or if I have a company in New Zealand, or in Australia, or anywhere in the world, I do not have to worry about reading the financial statements because language now is Same for all the accounting. So that is how the IFRS came. What came? IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. And IFRS was brought out by the IASB, International Accounting Standards Body. तो आज की तारीख में पूरी दुनिया में करीब 150 कंट्रीज हैं जिन्होंने IFRS को अडॉप्ट किया है। और हमने इंडिया में क्या किया? हमने उसको अडॉप्ट नहीं किया, हमने उसको अडेप्ट किया। अडॉप्ट का मतलब क्या है कि जैसे वो स्टैंडर्ड्स है वैसा जो वैसा आप उनको अप्लाई करो। हमने कहा नहीं, इंडिया बहुत बड़ा कंट्री है और इंडिया के रिक्वायरमेंट्स थोड़े डिफरेंट हैं, तो जो IFRS हैं हमने उनको अडेप्ट किया, मतलब कुछ जगह कुछ चेंज करके कुछ चीज़ें हमने डाल दी, कुछ उनकी निकाल दी। इस तरह से हमने उसको अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स को अडेप्ट किया। एंड अब वही IFRS को इंडिया में वी कॉल इट बाय द नेम ऑफ इंडेस, इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स, राइट? सो इससे क्या होगा? इससे नाउ द अकाउंटिंग लैंग्वेज इज कॉमन and therefore anybody and everybody who understands finance or accounts or financial reporting of one country can also understand the accounts of any other country which is adopting the IFRS and things like that. So friends, this is the background as to what is Indes and why Indes and for whom Indes. Indes is for everyone. Please remember, financial statements किस लिए? Why financial statements? Everybody. क्यों चाहिए financial statements? Why companies prepare the financial statements? Everyone.
To know the position of the company, financial position.
To know the financial position of the company. Very good. What is? What is? What is? Why? इसलिए financial statements क्यों बनाते हैं?
To know the result of operations.
To know the
Results of operations.
to know the result of operations and what?
Investors can make the decision.
Investors can make
tax
the-
authorities know how much to from
Tax authorities can know. Very good. And what is?
Shareholders can know.
Shareholders can know it, right? So what is?
Decision making.
Yeah, decision for decision making. Very good. Please join your hands
Decisions.
and give them a big round. Very good. Very good. तो देखिए हम सभी को मालूम है 3 अकाउंटिंग स्टेटमेंट, 3 फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं। कौन कौन से? नंबर 1 बैलेंस शीट, नंबर 2 प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, नंबर 3 कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट। सो बैलेंस शीट से क्या मालूम पड़ता है? बैलेंस शीट से मालूम पड़ता है कि कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन कैसी है। What are the assets and what are the liabilities? How is the quality of the assets and how is the quality of the liabilities? That is what you will figure out from a balance sheet. What will you figure out from the profit and loss statement?
Performance.
Performance of the company. ये कंपनी की परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है? How the company is performing operationally? Isn't it? Profit बना रही है कि लॉस बना रही है? पास्ट में क्या हुआ है? अभी क्या हो रहा है? और आगे होने की क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है? That is what you will figure out from the P&L. And then the third statement is cash flow statement. कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट से क्या मालूम पड़ेगा आपको? Where the company is generating cash from, right? कंपनी में कैश कहाँ से आ रहा है? Please remember, P&L is important, balance sheet is important, but more than the P&L and the balance sheet, what is important is cash flow. क्योंकि ultimately money matters. बाकी सब ठीक है. Profit is only on paper. Profit is only on paper, but what gives life to a business is the money. So cash flow. So cash flow से क्या मालूम पड़ता है? The ability of a company to take care of his financial obligation. तो जो कैश जनरेट हो रहा है उससे मालूम पड़ता है कि कंपनी whether this company would be able to take care of his financial obligations going forward or not. That is what you will figure out from the balance sheet, from the cash flow statement. अब सीधी सी बात है कि ये 3 स्टेटमेंट अगर किसी के पास में हो और ये पूरी इंफॉर्मेशन हो, will it be possible for him to take decision about this company? And the answer is yes, isn't it? तो या फिर ये कहें कि if you have to take a decision about a company, any decision, whether as an investor or as a customer or as a supplier or as an employee or as a lender or as an investor or as a borrower, doesn't really matter in what capacity. Wherever you want to take any economic decision about any company, what you will require these 3 statements. And number 1 is, please tell me once again, number 1 is, and number 2 is, and number 3 is. Now tell me, अगर ये P&L, बैलेंस शीट, कैश फ्लो, अगर ये जो स्टेटमेंट किसी कंपनी ने बनाए हैं और वो जो इन्फॉर्मेशन उस कंपनी ने उस स्टेटमेंट में डाली है, अगर वो इन्फॉर्मेशन गलत है, will you be able to take a right decision or will you arrive at a wrong decision? Wrong decision, right? So why these standards? Standards to ensure that all the companies across the globe, whoever have gone for these accounting standards, they put in the information which is required to be put into those financial statements. Are you with me? So इंडेस का ये मकसद है कि भाई आप जो P&L बनाएं, आप जो बैलेंस शीट बनाएं, आप जो कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट बनाएं, आप उसमें वो इन्फॉर्मेशन डालें जो कि आपको उसमें डालनी चाहिए। क्यों? Because somebody is going to take decision based on your P&L, based on your cash flow and based on your balance sheet. So that is the reason as to why these standards are there. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसका मतलब एक चीज हमारे दिमाग में क्लियर हो गई कि 3 स्टेटमेंट हैं, वो 3 स्टेटमेंट्स में इंफॉर्मेशन होता है, उस इंफॉर्मेशन का यूज डिसीजन मेकिंग के लिए होता है, और वो डिसीजन मेकिंग बराबर हो इसके लिए जरूरी है कि वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन डाली जाए वो ऑथेंटिक एंड एक्यूरेट, रिलायबल, डिपेंडेबल एंड टाइमली होनी चाहिए, राइट? तो ये पक्का करने के लिए the accounting standard setting body across the globe, they keep on working continuously to ensure कि क्या कर सकते हैं जिसकी वजह से जो कंपनियां फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाती हैं उनके फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड हों। यानी कि अगर मैं बजाज ऑटो का फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट पढूं और हीरो होंडा के फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट पढूं तो इन्फॉर्मेशन दोनों स्टेटमेंट में इस तरह से होनी चाहिए सो दैट आई एम एबल टू कंपेयर बोथ द कंपनीज। अगर हीरो होंडा इज यूजिंग यूएस स्टैंडर्ड एंड बजाज ऑटो इज यूजिंग Ind AS, will I be able to compare the financials of Hero Honda and Bajaj Auto? And the answer of course is no. So that is the reason why ये सारे के सारे accounting standards हैं, 39 of them are there, and वो 39 accounting standards different information देते हैं। तो आज of course we just have about 3 hours all put together, उसमें से पौना घंटा तो निकल चुका है already। तो अब हम इस सेशन में क्या करेंगे, we will take a complete overview कि कौन कौन से accounting standards हैं और इस अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का क्रक्स क्या है। अगर हम सबके दिमाग में आज इस सेशन से इतना भी बैठ गया दिमाग में कि ये स्टेटमेंट का ये क्रक्स है, तो आई कैन टेल यू आवर पर्पस वुड हैव बीन सर्व्ड। व्हाई? बिकॉज़ टुमारो आफ्टर दिस सेशन अगर कोई इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स के बारे में बात करे और कोई बोले कि कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट क्या है, उसमें क्या आता है, इफ यू आर एबल टू रिकलेक्ट कि कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट का पर्पस ये है और इसमें ये आता है, आई थिंक दैट आवर पर्पस इज अचीव्ड। And then of course you can use it as a stepping stone to build further on it. So we have discussed this already. Evolution of business over the centuries. I think I have told you. And what is the evolution? Evolution is पहले छोटे-छोटे business थे, proprietary, and now you are a global corporation. Who are the businesses responsible to and why? जो भी businesses हैं पूरी दुनिया में, who are they responsible to? Investors, right? So basically they are responsible to all these stakeholders, right? They are responsible. And who all are these stakeholders? कौन है किसी business में? Everyone. Number 1, investor. Number 2, employees. Number 3, banks. Number 4, okay, and society at large. Of course, society at large, and you will see them in NPS. And what is and why corporate governance? What is corporate governance? अब देखो ये जो अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स की जब हम बात करते हैं ना, जब हम बोलते हैं कि देयर इज अ सेपरेशन ऑफ ओनरशिप एंड द मैनेजमेंट, एंड वी अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई सेपरेशन ऑफ ओनरशिप एंड द मैनेजमेंट, बिकॉज़ द साइज ऑफ द बिजनेस हैव बिकम टू बिग। तो इसका मतलब क्या है, मालिक द ओनर वुड लाइक दैट द मैनेजमेंट शुड रन द बिजनेस इन अ सिस्टमैटिक मैनर, एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस इज ऑल अबाउट, इजंट इट? सो व्हाट इज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस? कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस का क्या मतलब है? Compliance is okay, very good. और क्या मतलब है?
Responsibilities of a company towards public.
Very good. Responsibility of the company towards public. What else? What is corporate governance?
The workings of the company should be more transparent to the people who are concerned about it.
Very good. The working of the companies must be more transparent. Who are
The people who are concerned about
concerned about? So please remember, corporate governance का मतलब समझने से पहले समझ लीजिए governance का मतलब क्या है। और governance का मतलब सिंपल सा है, गवर्नेंस का मतलब है टू डू व्हाट यू आर सपोज्ड टू डू इज गवर्नेंस। आर यू विद मी? जो आपको करना चाहिए अगर आप वो करते हैं दैट मींस यू आर, इट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ गुड गवर्नेंस। जो आप कर रहे हैं, जो आपकी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी है, जो आपकी जिम्मेदारी है, अगर आप ऐसा कर रहे हैं दैट इज अ गुड गवर्नेंस। और ये डेफिनेशन अगर हम कंपनीज को अप्लाई कर रहे हैं देन इट बिकम्स कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस, राइट? सो रिमेंबर व्हाट कंपनीज आर सपोज्ड टू बी डूइंग। एक जो कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं दुनिया में, पूरी दुनिया में, हिंदुस्तान के बाद, what are they supposed to be doing? उनकी रिस्पांसिबिलिटी क्या है? All over the world, everyone, what is the responsibility of the corporates? Okay, let me put this question slightly differently. And इस चीज को जरा ध्यान से समझना, और क्यों ध्यान से समझना, because when I look back about this question that I'm going to ask you, I really think that I wish this question was asked to me when I was doing my MBA in 1982. I did my MBA in 1982. तो मुझे MBA करके मेरे 40 साल हो गए पूरे, या 40 years. 40 years ago I did my MBA program. तो ये सवाल मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये सवाल का अंडरस्टैंडिंग हम सभी को होना बहुत जरूरी है. एंड सवाल ये है, what is purpose of a business? All of you. What is purpose of a business?
Customer satisfaction and profit provide services.
Yep.
Maximize wealth.
Maximize wealth. Okay, very good. What is?
So to earn cash profit.
To earn cash profit. Very good. कभी मेरा प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया क्या कहीं पे? या मेरा वीडियो वगैरह देखा है कहीं पे? नहीं. Okay, very good. What is?
To create value for the customers.
To create value for the customer. Okay, very good. What is? Okay, let me ask everyone because I want. And मैं चाहता हूँ देखिए हम सब कॉस्ट अकाउंटेंट हैं और याद रखिए एक चीज जो आप सबको अपने ना डीएनए में पक्का करके घुसा लेनी चाहिए. All of you have to be very good public speaker also. You know, कई बार ऐसा हो सकता है कि हम लोग हेजिटेट करते हैं बोलने में, और हेजिटेट करने का कारण होता है क्योंकि बचपन से कई बार ऐसा एटमॉस्फेयर नहीं मिला होता है, तो फिर हमारा इट बिकम्स पार्ट ऑफ आवर डीएनए, तो हम हर जगह बोलने में पीछे रहते हैं. और मैं आपको एक चीज़ बोलता हूँ कि देखो जिंदगी में वो लोग आगे नहीं आते जिनको बहुत नॉलेज होती है. जिंदगी में वो लोग आते हैं जो बोलना जानते हैं. यस और नो? सो बहुत सारे लोग हैं नॉलेज बहुत है लेकिन कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है, दे लैक बिहाइंड. एंड बहुत सारे लोग हैं नॉलेज बिल्कुल भी नहीं है लेकिन कॉन्फिडेंस की कोई कमी नहीं है. केजरीवाल. सो बोलिए सबको बोलना है, और आज तो खास तौर से पक्का करेंगे ये क्लास में तो मुझे 100% बोलना ही बोलना है. ठीक है. सो लेट मी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम हियर. यस मैम. पर्पस क्या है बिजनेस का? एंड यू कैन जस्ट बी क्रिस्प. बहुत लंबा लंबा बोलने की जरूरत नहीं, दो एक शब्द.
Optimal utilization of resources.
ओके, वेरी गुड.
To fulfill the social responsibility as well.
वेरी गुड. यस.
run the company in an efficient and transparent manner.
ओके, वेरी गुड. अब देखिए सवाल समझ के लीजिए क्योंकि ये सवाल बहुत गहरा है. ये सवाल क्या है? व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ अ बिजनेस? यानी कि दुनिया में जितने भी बिजनेस हैं वो बिजनेसेस क्यों, उनका पर्पस क्या है? क्यों सेटअप किए हैं वो बात अलग है, लेकिन उनका पर्पस क्या है? दुनिया के जो बिजनेस हैं उन्होंने क्या करना चाहिए? या
Earn profit.
अर्न प्रॉफिट. अर्न प्रॉफिट.
Well, I mean, inherently, what they're ultimately doing is they're helping the society. develop.
हेल्पिंग द सोसाइटी. यस, वेरी गुड. यस, ऑफ कोर्स.
Wealth maximization.
वेल्थ मैक्सिमाइजेशन. वेरी गुड.
To provide good quality product.
टू प्रोवाइड गुड क्वालिटी प्रोडक्ट. अब देखो मैं ये सवाल आपसे क्यों पूछ रहा हूँ? मैं ये सवाल इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है कि हम लोग एंड और मीन्स में डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर पाते हैं. समझ रहे क्या कह रहा हूँ? एक तो आपका एंड है और दूसरा उस एंड को अचीव करने के मीन्स हैं. तो मीन्स आर इम्पोर्टेंट, नो डाउट अबाउट इट. व्हाई मीन्स आर इम्पोर्टेंट? बिकॉज अनलेस you work on the means, you will not be able to achieve the end. But ultimately, you have to keep the end in mind, and that is the reason as to why I'm asking this question as to what is the purpose of a business.
As I earlier said, cash to earn cash.
Okay, very good.
Satisfy
I'll come to you. I just want to ask everyone.
To strengthen the economy.
Strengthen the economy. Very good.
To contribute to the society by providing their needs and wants.
Fabulous.
Profit maximization.
Profit maximization.
Fulfill the needs of customers.
Fulfill the needs of the customer.
Contribute to the GDP.
Contribute to the GDP. Very good.
To generate wealth.
To generate wealth for whom?
Owners.
Owners के लिए. Okay, very good.
To attract investors.
To attract investors.
To solve problem in the society.
Solve problem in the society. Very good.
To create value for customers.
Create value for customer. खुद का कुछ भी होना चाहिए. Very good. Very good.
To provide goods and
Wealth maximization. Yes, ma'am.
To satisfy customer requirement and for new innovations.
Okay, very good. To satisfy customer requirements and new innovation. Yes, very good.
Maximization.
Maximization of
Profit.
profit. Okay, very good.
To increase the sale,
Mhm.
accountability,
Mhm.
and good quality of product.
Okay, very good. Yes.
So to satisfy the need of everyone associated to the business.
Satisfy need of everyone. So basically, taking care of everyone.
Everyone, the
Fabulous.
investors, customers.
Yeah,
or-
fabulous, fabulous.
Wealth maximization.
Wealth max-
While maintaining the CSR
CSR
and public advocacy.
and public advocacy.
to maintain sustainable source of income.
Sustainable source of income. Yes.
To
Please.
fulfill the need of the customers.
Okay. Will meet the need of the customer. Okay. Decision.
Maximization of wealth by using the resources optimally.
Okay. Yeah, please. Everyone done? Okay, good. Now let me tell you, friends, if you think that the purpose of a business is to make profit, you are wrong. If you think that the purpose of a business is to make profit, you are wrong. And why do I say this?
Because in the normal.
I say this because if the purpose of a business was to make profit, you would not see a company called Google. Why? Larry Page and Sergey Brin, founders of Google, they started making profit within first few years of starting Google, and they would have said, purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, you would not see a company called Microsoft. Why? Bill Gates, within first few years of starting the operations, started making profit. And he could have said, purpose of a business is to make profit. I have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let me close the business. If the profit of a business was to make profit, you would not see a company called ArcelorMittal, a group called ArcelorMittal. Why? Mr. Lakshmi Nivas Mittal, within first few years of his operations, started making profit, and he would have said the same thing. If the purpose of a business is to make profit, I have made profit, purpose is achieved, let me close the business. So please remember, purpose of a business is not to make profit. And why do I say this? I say it because making profit in business is compulsory. Making profit in business is mandatory. Making profit in business is non-negotiable. If you are in business, you better make profit. If you are in business and if you are not able to make profit, the least that you can do is to hand over that business to someone who can make profit from that business. And I'm sure all of you would be aware today कि एक हिंदुस्तान में एक नया लॉ आया है, नया नहीं अब तो काफी पुराना हो गया, 2016 में आया था। ये लॉ का नाम क्या है? IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. And you know what this law is? This law is about the same thing. If you are an owner of a business and you are not making profit, you are not paying to your creditors, then what happens? That business is taken away from you and it is given to someone. So therefore, please remember, making profit in business is mandatory, non-negotiable, compulsory. You have to make profit. Then what is the purpose of a business? And the purpose of a business is to create value. The purpose of a business is to create value. Now what does it mean? It means business is an engine for bringing socio-economic transformation in the society. अगर मैं एक बिजनेस का मालिक हूँ, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि from this business I must earn so much of wealth for myself that I become richest and rest of the people are poor. That is not the purpose of a business. But remember, if that is what you do, अगर आप एक बिजनेस के मालिक हैं और अगर आपकी मंशा ये है कि दुनिया की सारी दौलत मेरे अकाउंट में आ जाए और बाद में दुनिया का कुछ भी होने दो, तो फिर ऐसे लोगों का क्या होता है? ऐसे लोगों को हिंदुस्तान छोड़ के लंदन में जाके बैठना पड़ता है। Are you with me? तो जितने भी विजय मल्ल्या हो, नीरव मोदी हो, मेहुल चौकसी हो, why is that so? And that is because उनको क्या लगा कि बिजनेस का मकसद क्या है? To maximize the profit. अब समझ के लीजिए, आपके पास में 10-20 हजार करोड़ की संपत्ति है और फिर भी अगर आपको देश छोड़ के भागना पड़े, ऐसी संपत्ति का क्या फायदा? So what is the purpose of a business is to create value. Meaning what? Meaning use your business for making positive difference in the life of others. So what is corporate governance? Corporate governance is if your business is working for creating value, that means your business is following the corporate governance. Yes or no? Is it? ये जो कानून बनाने पड़ते हैं गवर्नमेंट को, कानून क्यों बनाने पड़ते हैं? कानून इसलिए बनाने पड़ते हैं क्योंकि कुछ लोग जो उनको करना चाहिए वो नहीं करते हैं। अब आप सोचिए, अगर पूरी दुनिया में, पूरे हिंदुस्तान में अगर सब लोग ठान लें कि मैं कभी ट्रैफिक के कोई रूल को तोड़ूंगा नहीं, तो आपको लगता है हिंदुस्तान में आपको कुछ सिग्नल्स बनाने की जरूरत पड़ेगी? इतना सारा खर्चा करने की जरूरत पड़ेगी? क्योंकि सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन है, और सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन नहीं होता है तो फिर गवर्नमेंट को रूल बनाने पड़ते हैं। तो कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस का मतलब ये है टू क्रिएट वैल्यू। इफ योर बिजनेस इज क्रिएटिंग वैल्यू, दैट मींस you are already following the corporate governance, so you do not have to worry about anything. And that is what is corporate governance is all about. I'm sure you can understand the relationship between the accounting standards and corporate governance. Yes or no? Is it clear to everybody? So the relationship between the accounting standards and corporate governance is very clear. Let's now look at what are the stakeholders in a business. So you have employees, lenders, suppliers, customers, government, public, and investors. Now these are the users of financial statements. These are the users of financial statements. That means these people use the financial statements for the purpose of decision making. But when it comes to a stakeholder, you have to add two more people, and the stakeholder is the nation, and the stakeholder is the nature. Yes or no? किसी भी बिजनेस में नेचर का स्टेक है कि नहीं है? Isn't it? टाटा स्टील बनाते हैं तो टाटा की जो स्टील की कंपनी है उसमें नेचर का कुछ स्टेक है कि नहीं है? बिल्कुल है। क्यों है? क्योंकि टाटा स्टील कैसे बनाते हैं? टाटा स्टील बनाते हैं आयरन ओर को इस्तेमाल करके, और वो आयरन ओर उनको कहाँ से मिल रहा है? उनको कहाँ से मिल रहा है? नेचर से। So that means Tata Steel or Tata Motors or all the companies everywhere in the world, they also have a stakeholder, and that is the nature. And that is the reason today the whole world is talking about ESG, environment, social, and governance. So that is the reason as to why ESG. Nation. Does the nation have a stake in a company? Obviously, the nation has a stake in the company. Tata Steel or Tata Motors or Maruti or Honda or TCS or Wipro, all the companies all over the world, they are able to run their operations with the help of people, right? And where did these people come from? These people come from the nation, and that is why the nation also has a stake in any business organization. So they are also the stakeholder. And please remember that is what is ESG is all about. So अगर आपको ये चीज ध्यान में आ गई कि nature is also a stakeholder, nation is also a stakeholder in any business organization, you will very easily understand as to क्यों आज पूरी दुनिया में लोग environment की बात करते हैं, क्यों पूरी दुनिया में लोग आज social की बात करते हैं, क्यों पूरी दुनिया में आज लोग governance की बात करते हैं. And I'm sure you can very easily see the relationship between the corporate governance and the accounting standards. So corporate governance आप follow कर रहे हो कि नहीं कर रहे हो, कहाँ से मालूम पड़ेगा? वो मालूम पड़ेगा कि आपकी reporting किस तरह की है. If all the companies that you have in the world, if they stop making financial accounts, will you be able to figure out कि जितनी कंपनियां हैं उनमें से कितने कंपनी corporate governance को follow कर रही हैं और कितनी नहीं कर रही हैं? The answer is
Yes,
no. So that is the relationship.
No, because no one will be following it.
Absolutely, no one will be following it. Right? Good. Right. So I've discussed with you purpose of business, and please remember, and this is we as cost and management accountant must remember that purpose of a business, of course, is value creation. But other than value creation, there is one more thing that businesses have to do, and that is the risk management. And please remember, take this as a takeaway, all of you, from this session, that you as cost and management accountant, you as the future CFOs of the companies all over the globe, not only have to work to ensure that the companies for whom you work, they create value, you will also need to work continuously that the risk of the business that you are working with is fully taken care of. Are you with me?
Yes.
Otherwise, what can happen? You have a company called Kodak. Have you heard of Kodak? Kodak was a company that once upon a time was leader in its own field. Photography में Kodak का कोई competition नहीं था. And where is Kodak today? Nowhere. Why? Because Kodak did not worry about the risk management. You must have heard of a bank called Barings Bank. कितने लोगों ने सुना है Barings Bank का नाम? Have you heard of? Barings Bank was a 100-year-old bank. 100 years old bank. And one fine evening, a rogue trader, employee of Barings Bank, started dealing transactions on behalf of Barings Bank in front of the computer. Derivatives, buying options and things like that. And he kept on incurring losses, and every time when he was incurring losses, with an objective that in his next transaction he will make profit, he will keep on doing it. and by the time the morning happened, the bank was closed, not for the day, it was closed forever. Nick Leeson is the name of this person. This name of person is a rock trader, and you must, you can Google it and you must read about him. Risk management, 100-year-old bank closes in one single night, and that is because the company did not take care of the risk management. There's a bank called Lehman Brothers. I'm sure all of you must have heard of Lehman Brothers. Again, a bank more than 100 years old and just got closed in one day because risk management was not taken care of. Enron, again a 100-year-old bank, and all of you must have heard of, I'm sure, so many times. The bank got closed. Not only it got closed, but it also took it with Arthur Andersen. Arthur Andersen, at that point in time, was one of the top 5 chartered accountants firms all over the world. And Arthur Andersen and Enron did something which was completely wrong, which was against the principles of risk management, and finally both of them got closed. So risk management is again the expectations of the investor, and I'm sure all of you must be reading about SEBI regulations on corporate governance, and you would very clearly say that the SEBI regulations very extensively cover the risk management. और अगर आपने कंपनियों के एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स को खोल के देखा होगा तो आप देखेंगे उसमें रिस्क एनालिसिस एंड मैनेजमेंट रिस्पांस करके अलग से एक चैप्टर होता है एनुअल रिपोर्ट में. So that is what is the expectation from all of us. So this is what is required, and therefore the expectation of the shareholders or the stakeholders is financial reporting in an understandable language, right? And that is the reason why you have Indian accounting standards which are standardized. Let's look at the roadmap. So in our country, Ind AS have become mandatory, but Ind AS have become mandatory in phase-wise manner. So the first phase of Ind AS implementation started from 1st April 2015, when it was to be done on voluntary basis for all companies with comparatives. Please do not hesitate to ask me at any point in time any doubt that you may have about anything that we are discussing. तो देखिए वॉलंटरी बेसिस पर 1 अप्रैल 2015 से हिंदुस्तान में इंड एस का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हुआ. इंड एस का मतलब क्या है? वो 39 अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स जिसकी हम थोड़ी सी चर्चा पहले कर चुके हैं, जिसको हम आगे जाके और समझेंगे वो कौन से अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं. तो हिंदुस्तान में 1 अप्रैल 2015 से वॉलंटरीली इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स started, and from 1st April 2016 it started on mandatory basis. That means all the companies in India who were listed on a stock exchange either in India or outside India, or who were in the process of getting listed either in India or outside India, or the companies who are not listed but whose net worth was more than 500 crore, for all these companies, and of all these companies, उनकी जो सब्सिडीरीज थी, उनकी जो जॉइंट कंपनियां थी, उनके जो एसोसिएट्स थे, उनके लिए भी from 1st April 2016 Ind AS became mandatory. क्या मतलब इसके कहने का? इसका मतलब ये है कि these companies are now preparing their financial statements based on the 39 accounting standards that we have spoken about and that we are going to discuss about. Are you with me, everyone? Okay. So that is number one. Number two, the second phase of Ind AS started from 1st April 2017. तो 2015 से 1st April 2015 on voluntary basis. From 1st April 2016 on mandatory basis for certain companies. And from 1st April 2017, mandatory for all the listed companies. All the listed companies in India or outside India. And all those companies who were not listed but their net worth was more than 250 crores. So आज की तारीख में what is the status? The status is every company in this country which is listed on a stock exchange in India or outside India, or whose net worth is more than 250 crore, for all those companies indices have become mandatory. That means ये कंपनियों ने अपने जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाने हैं, वो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स उन्होंने किस बेसिस पे बनाने हैं? वो उनको बनाने हैं ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ इंडेक्सेस. नॉट ओनली दीज कंपनीज, प्लीज रिमेंबर, ये जो कंपनी जिनकी हम बात कर रहे हैं अगर उस कंपनी की कोई जॉइंट वेंचर है उसका, या कोई एसोसिएट कंपनी है, या उसकी कोई सब्सिडियरी है, even those companies do not meet the parameter of being listed or having a net worth of 250 crore, even then those companies also have to prepare their financial statements as per the Indian. So this is number one. What is the roadmap for the NBFCs? So NBFCs के लिए the process is same, everything is same, but it is started from 1st April 2018 with those companies whose net worth was more than 500 crore. So अगर आपकी कंपनी एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी नहीं है, एक ट्रेडिंग कंपनी नहीं है, एक सर्विस कंपनी नहीं है, you will not fall into the ambit of Ind AS from 1st April 2017 also. You will fall into the ambit from 1st April 2018 if you were an NBFC and your net worth was, how much your net worth was, more than 500 crore, or you were listed on a stock exchange in India or outside India. At the same time, please remember, you may be a listed company in India, but Ind AS will not be applicable to you when? When you, please join your hands and give him a big round of applause. Very good. Even then, you will second time that he read the notice directly. Please join your hands. Give him a big round of applause. So, अगर आपकी कंपनी listed है, लेकिन it is listed on the SME platform, then Ind AS will not become mandatory because SME companies are very small. If you make Ind AS mandatory for them, उनकी पूरी फाइनेंशियल गड़बड़ हो जाएगी क्योंकि इतनी फीस भरनी पड़ेगी कि प्रॉफिट कुछ बचेगा ही. And what about the banks? For banks also it was to start from 1st April 2019 and 1st April 2018, then from 1st April 2019, and now it is started from 1st April 2021. But that too also I am not sure whether it has started. It was supposed to have started from 1st April. So that means all the banks and insurance companies in this company, to them also accounting standards have become mandatory.
So why is there a difference in implementation for different sectors?
Yeah, that's a good point. See, क्या होता है? Ultimately, whenever you bring out a reform of this kind, it needs tremendous amount of technology, commitment, involvement, time, efforts, and processes. So if you make it mandatory en masse in one go for everything, it's a good idea, but it may not work.
Okay.
So that is why the idea is go step by step. तो इसलिए उन्होंने क्या किया? Because for banks or insurance companies or NBFCs to implement Ind AS would be a bigger challenge than for a normal manufacturing company. So within the normal manufacturing also, it will be easier for a company whose net worth is more than 500 crore. So that's the reason why the government of India and the governments all over the world have gone phase-wise manner and implemented Ind AS.
So will there be a time when we shift from Ind AS to IFRS completely?
See, basically Ind AS are nothing but IFRS only.
Right.
There are only few carve-outs and carve-ins. That's the only thing. So to say this, whether we would move to IFRS one day, so this is virtually on the IFRS only. So Ind AS is nothing but IFRS with some modification. So your question can be, will we remove those modifications also sometime? Yeah, as the time evolves, the concerned people, stakeholders will take a decision. Does it make sense to have these carve-outs and carve-ins, or can we do away with them? So as the situation emerges and they realize, yes, these carve-outs are not relevant now, then they can simply say, okay, let's do away with them, or do away with them in a systematic manner, phase-wise manner, and then reach to a point.
Okay.
Good. So the main objective of financial statements, as we discussed, balance sheet, it tells you what is your financial position, right? Isn't it? अब देखिए ये चीज़ है ना ध्यान में रखने की बहुत जरूरी है. बैलेंस शीट क्या बताती है फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन, P&L क्या बताता है परफॉर्मेंस, स्टेटमेंट ऑफ कैश फ्लो क्या बताता है कंपनीज एबिलिटी टू टेक केयर ऑफ द ऑब्लिगेशन. ये चीज़ है हम सभी को, ये तीन बातें all of us need to keep in our mind constantly and permanently. Why? Because anytime you are reading anything about the accounting standards, you just need to ask कि ये जो provision standard में है, is it really impacting the purpose of the financial statements? So, and then it will become very clear to you. जो कोई भी point है हम discuss करेंगे as we move forward. So, whenever you are discussing, you should be able to correlate. Please remember, accounting standards are not for the heck of it. Accounting standards are not for the sake of it. Accounting standard is not to complete a formality. Accounting standards are there to serve a definite purpose. Yes or no? And what that purpose is? That purpose is that your P&L should tell you as to how the company is doing operationally. Your balance sheet should be able to tell you as to how is the financial position of the company. And your cash flow statement should be able to tell you as to what is the ability of the business to take care of the financial obligations. Are you there, everybody? So ये linkage आपके दिमाग में बैठाना जरूरी है, क्योंकि ये लिंक बैठ गया ना, तो फिर आप कनेक्ट कर पाते हो. और जब तक आप कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाओगे, you struggle. कोई प्रॉब्लम यहाँ पढ़ोगे, you will struggle. Why it is. But the moment हो गए, इसका implication P&L पे है, इसका implication balance sheet पे है, इसका implication cash flow statement पे है. तो फिर वो एक बार कनेक्शन आपके दिमाग में बैठ गया, तो आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी ऑटोमेटिकली सेट राइट हो जाती है. नाउ what are the complete set of financial statements as per Ind AS 1? अभी आप सब लोगों ने तो पढ़ा हुआ है Ind AS 1, right? So आपके जो फाइनल के एग्जाम में था, तो कौन कौन से फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं जो कि पूरा सेट को कंप्लीट करने के लिए चाहिए? नंबर 1
Profit and loss account.
That's number 1.
Balance sheet,
Yeah.
Cash flow statement.
3.
Statement showing changes in liquidity
4.
and schedules.
5. Okay, what else? और भी कुछ है? नोट्स तो कौन बता दिया? प्लीज जॉइन योर टीम में वेरी गुड. अब दो चीजें और मैं ऐड करता हूँ. सो यू नो नंबर 1 इज द बैलेंस शीट. So in India, and see these are the carve-outs that we were talking about. See, under the IFRS, you call it as a statement of financial position, but under the Ind AS, you still continue to call it as P&L. And you can remember why this carve-out. ये जो carve-out है, क्यों हमने बोला कि statement of financial position मत करिए, उसको P&L ही रहने दीजिए? Because in India, all of us, not only all of us, the professionals, but also the businessmen, they are used to understand P&L only as P&L. So the moment you would have used this term or balance sheet as the balance sheet, the moment you would have started using it as a statement of financial position, तो आधे लोग तो बेचारे confused हो जाएंगे कि ये क्या है, what is this, right? So that is the reason India said doesn't make any difference. आप उसको statement of financial position कहो या उसको balance sheet कहो, कहने से कुछ फर्क पड़ता नहीं है. It is still remain the same because balance sheet ultimately is nothing but statement of financial position. So that's number 1. Number 2, in case of profit and loss. Again, so under the IFRS, you will have two things. You will have a statement of comprehensive income, SOCI, and in our case, single statement with 2 sections, P&L and other comprehensive income. So ये एक दूसरा carve out है. So हमारे हिंदुस्तान में हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं? उसको P&L बोलते हैं, और P&L के साथ में एक और आता है, उसको बोलते हैं OCI, other comprehensive income. I am sure all of you would be aware as to what is the other comprehensive income. Just to be on the same page, would anyone like to tell me as to what is OCI and why it is used? Yeah, please.
It is the income that is to be shown in the profit and loss statement, but does not impact the profit at that moment. So, for example, if there is a change in foreign currency rate,
Right.
or if there is a revaluation of any asset,
Right.
it do not show it in the profit and loss statement that affects the profit.
Okay.
So it has to be disclosed.
Has to be disclosed, right? Okay, very good. Anybody else would like to add to this? So, see, what will go to P&L is an income which is confirmed and pakka and sure. And what will go to OCI? I am just telling you in principle, you know, because some people have a confusion as to what should go to P&L and what should go to OCI and why. So, what will go to OCI? OCI, you will have an income which is tentative, which is not yet confirmed, right? So, that is what will come to OCI. And P&L which is confirmed, and that will go to P&L. And that is why from the OCI, there can be a transfer to P&L and not vice versa. Are you with me? So certain income which are recorded in the OCI, they can go to P&L. And remember, why will that happen? That will happen because this income which is reflecting in OCI is coming there as a temporary. Now that it is confirmed, it will go to P&L. But P&L से OCI में क्यों नहीं आएगा? क्योंकि एक income जो पहले पक्का हो चुकी है, अब वो वापस से अधपक्की नहीं हो सकती, right? So that is the reason why you have. So that's your second statement, P&L. And then third statement of changes in equity. Remember, earlier also we had the statement of changes in equity. We will not call it a statement of changes in equity. We will simply call it statement of, we'll have a statement of equity and schedule of reserves and surplus. So a statement of changes in equity is combination of details of the equity and details of the of your reserves and surplus. The fourth statement is statement of cash flow, which is again common. IFRS में भी उसको SCF बोलते हैं और Ind AS में भी उसको SCF ही बोलते हैं. And then fifth is notes including significant accounting policies and other explanatory statement. And number 5, comparative information in respect of preceding periods. So as part of the financial statements, not only we have to give the numbers of the current year, but we also need to give the numbers of the previous year. And that's why we call them as comparative. And remember, not only we have to give the comparative number, but we also have to give the comparative information. So you would have seen, if you go through an annual report of any company, even in the narrations also, you know, when the schedules and subschedules and notes, in bracket they would always mention as to what this figure was in the last year. So not only you have to give the numbers of the current year, but you also give the comparative information. And of course, objective is very simple, so that people are able to compare current year's number with the last year's number to figure out as to what is the change in the current year. Then only you will have an idea whether the company has done better or worse. And then you have a balance sheet as at the beginning of the preceding period, and this is where you need to pay attention, and this is in the context of Ind AS 8. So sometimes we will discuss about it more when we come to Ind AS 8. So sometimes, in case if your company is changing a policy with retrospective effect, say for example, the accounting of inventory. तो अगर आप अब तक है ना weighted average use कर रहे थे, and now you want to go to for FIFO, so and that you want to go to FIFO for 2 साल पहले 3 साल पहले, तो ऐसे सिचुएशन में आपको ये ऊपर के 5 देने हैं, साथ में एक और बैलेंस शीट देनी है. कौन से साल की देनी है? ये साल की दे रही, अगले साल पिछले साल की दे रही, उससे भी एक कोई साल पहले की. So your financial statement will have a balance sheet which is of 3 years, right? So that the previous one, the first one, first, second and third, that will tell you the impact of change in the accounting policy. That is as per Ind AS 8. So all these 8 statements put together, all these 7 statements put together will be complete statement under the indices of financial statements. Right. So let's move forward. Now let us look at the Ind AS universe. So what is my idea now is to share with you the entire universe. कि कौन-कौन से standards हैं, कौन-कौन से standards हैं. Discuss them in brief, and then we come to the discussion page by page. Now before we move forward, let me throw it open to all of you in case if you have any doubt, any question on whatever I have discussed with you so far. And before that, let me also ask you one question. I hope I am not too fast or not too slow. Right? Good. Please.
So what are comparators? I wanted to ask.
कंपेरेटिव तो देखो जैसे आप एक कैलेंडर देखें, एक बैलेंस शीट देखें, तो पिछले साल की जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है दैट इज कंपेरेटिव. So because those numbers are given so that you are able to compare, and that's why they are called as comparative information. So comparative information, as I said, can be with regard to the P&L and the balance sheet and the cash flow. It can also be with regard to the descriptive details that are incorporated in the schedules and subschedules. तो वहाँ भी जो आप नंबर दोगे, उधर भी आप पिछले साल के नंबर ऐड करोगे, so that whoever is reading your financials is able to make sense as to how this company has done in comparison to the last year, and that is why you call them as a comparative figure. And yeah, so and please remember again, ultimately, what is the objective of financial statements? Objective of financial statement is not to fulfill the requirement of accounting as per the Government of India requirement. The purpose of the financial statement is so that when someone is reading them, he is able to make economic decision based on that. Yes, ma'am.
When you mentioned comparatives written for NBFCs and insurance companies for implementation of Ind AS, in the bracket was written with comparatives.
Yeah.
What does that signify?
So that means all of you please pay attention. So first time when you are implementing Ind AS, what is going to happen? All these years, you have maintained you have prepared your financial statements based on the Indian standard, right? Local standard जो इंडिया का था वो. Now you are shifting because Ind AS has become mandatory to you on 1st April 2016. It became mandatory because you are a listed company, or you were not a listed company, you were a limited company whose net worth was more than 500 crore, or you were a company who was an associate or subsidiary of or joint venture of a company to whom Ind AS had become mandatory. So अब आपको क्या करना होगा, and you have seen that as part of the Ind AS, you not only have to give the numbers of the current year, but you also have to give the numbers of the comparative, that means of the last year. Now please pay attention. If you have to give numbers of the last, comparative numbers of the last year, now for preparing those comparative number of last year, you will need to prepare same number based on Ind AS for the previous year also. So that is what is the meaning of what you are asking. So that means ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको Ind AS has become mandatory, so you say okay stop, कल से Ind AS के ऊपर accounting नहीं, आपको वापस सारा homework करना पड़ेगा, तो आपको पिछले सालों को भी convert करना पड़ेगा as per the Ind AS, and then you would be able to continue. That is it. Okay, good. Any other doubt, any question?
There's no one in your contacts named Kavita. Whose contact info are you looking for?
Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
there is also a concept of IFRS audit. So when it is applicable for companies, IFRS audit.
Audit. Okay.
So when it is applicable
Yeah.
for companies, also they have to follow Ind AS and IFRS, both the things, or how it is like?
Yeah. So देखो, good question. If yours is a company which is also having operations outside India, and to the company that you have outside India, whether a holding company or subsidiary company, since you have that company in Europe or anywhere where the IFRS is applicable, so since your account, and let's say you are a subsidiary or you are a holding company, so since the company that you have, subsidiary that you have outside India, they will have what is applicable to them locally is IFRS. So their accounts will also need to be prepared as per the Ind AS. Likewise, if you are a subsidiary of a holding company which is in Europe, then you will have to prepare two sets of accounts. One to comply with the Ind AS and second to comply with the IFRS. So that is the meaning of the accounts under the IFRS and the audit, which is not applicable in all situations, which will be applicable only in selected situations as the case may be. That's number one. Number two, when you say IFRS audit, or it basically means that you are a subsidiary of a European company, and since you are a subsidiary of a European company, you have to prepare your accounts as per the IFRS also. Since you are maintaining your accounts as per the Ind AS, there is very little that has to be done for converting your Ind AS account into the IFRS account. So that IFRS audit would mean to check whether this migration from the Ind AS to IFRS has taken place as per the IFRS account. So that would be the answer to your question. Okay, what else? Please.
There was a point again, it was written in the process of listing, is there a defined period or is a draft required to be submitted?
Very good question. Please join your hands, give her a big round of applause. Very good. See, the process of listing would mean the board of directors of that company has passed a resolution and the shareholders has approved that resolution that now we should go for listing. So the moment you have resolution passed by the board of directors and or by the shareholders that we should go for listing of our company, that means now you are in the process of listing. So from that moment, the process of listing starts and it ends when the accounts are, when the company is finally listed. Okay. Now before the come to the universe, so this is the universe. Now what I have done for the convenience of all of you to understand and grasp the Ind AS in a very systematic manner, I have first broken them into three parts. So these are the indices that you have that will fall in the category of presentation and disclosure. Meaning what? Meaning all these standards, what do they contain? ये जो standards हैं 1 से लेकर 14 तक, what do they contain? They contain requirements of disclosure and presentation. क्या मतलब है कहने का? कहने का मतलब ये है कि ये जो standards हैं वो आपको बताते हैं कि आपको आपके financial statement किस तरह से present करने चाहिए और उसमें क्या क्या disclose करना चाहिए. So that is category number 1. So here what you have a presentation of financial statement. So all these 7 things that we spoke about, the balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, accounting policies, all those are part of your Ind AS 1, which is a presentation of financial statements. The second is statement index 7, which is on a statement of cash flow, right? So again, what is statement of the standard on statement of cash flow? What does it tell you? It tells you कि आपको आपके फाइनेंशियल्स में कैश फ्लो दिखाना है कंपनी का, और किस फॉर्मेट में दिखाना है, उसमें क्या क्या डिस्क्लोज करना है, और किस तरह से आपको फॉर्मेट वो इंफॉर्मेशन कंप्लाई करनी है. दिस इज व्हाट यू विल गेट टू नो फ्रॉम द इंडेक्स 7, which is on a statement of cash flow. Then you have index 8, which is on accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors. So I'm sure we all know this. Business, we are in business. So in business, a lot of things keep on happening. So what can happen? That because of some reason, we may decide to change an accounting policy. Because of some reason, we would need to make change in some provision. Are you with me? Say, you know what is warranty provision. All of you know what is warranty provision. What is the provision for warranty? Everyone, give me an example.
Basically, you need to know how much you need to accrue for a warranty that you give to a customer.
Okay. Okay, very good. And anyone who would like to tell you what is the provision for bad debts? Anyone? How do you make provision for warranty? Let's say, for example, you are Maruti. You are working for Maruti, right? And Maruti as a company will give warranty to the customers who would buy cars from Maruti. And what this warranty would mean, all of us know, this warranty would mean कि अगले 1 साल में अगर आपकी कार को कुछ होता है ना, तो आपको एक पैसा खर्च करने की जरूरत नहीं है. You bring your car to a workshop of Maruti, you get it repaired, and without paying a single paisa, you take your car back, isn't it? So, how will Maruti make a provision for the amount of warranty, all of you?
Based on trends.
Based on?
Trends.
Based on trades. Like for example, can you elaborate this?
Sure, sir. It will look that
But please.
previous year's figures, that how much in previous year or continuously 5 years back, what is the amount which has been spent in post-sale expenses or services, you can say. And then based on that trends and based on the quality or the improvement which it has made in current year's production, it will make a.
Excellent. So, anyone, any doubt on whatever she has spoken? Please give her a big round of applause. Very, very good. So, अब क्या हो सकता है? For some reason, Maruti has been making provisions, and all these provisions that are made, we all understand very well, and don't hesitate to ask me if you have a doubt. All these provisions, which are made by the companies all over the world, how are they made? They are made based on estimates. So उन्होंने जो बताया है कि आप कोई past trend लेके चलते हैं, तो past trend लेके चलते इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Estimating. Now for some reason, if you have to make a change in those estimates, right? So अब देखिए, आपने provision कभी किया last year में, है ना? और आप वो provision को change कभी कर रहे हो? ये साल में. अगर आपको last year के provision को change ये साल में कर रहे हो, तो इस चेंज की वजह से आपके लास्ट ईयर का प्रॉफिट इंपैक्ट होगा कि नहीं होगा? होगा. सो शुड यू रीराइट योर लास्ट ईयर्स अकाउंट्स?
Yes.
Okay. Now this is what is covered under index. So what index 8 says that if there is a change on account of estimates, then you do not have to rewrite the last year's accounts, because provisions are made based on the estimates. You only have to make a disclosure. So far the company has made the provisions of 50 crores on account of warranty. However, based on the trend of last 2 years or whatever, we realize that so much of warranty is not required, and therefore 20 crores of warranty is being written back, and because of that, our current year's profit are overstated by 20 crore. Last year's profit were, to that extent, were understated by 20 crore. Are you there with? Okay. So that is what is your accounting policy. That is what is your change in accounting
I
estimate.
missed one part, I'm sorry. Is it only for changes in estimate or policy as well?
No, it's only for the change in the estimates. If it is on account of change in the accounting policy, then you have to restate your accounts. Then you have to restate your
Only for the comparative.
only for the comparatives. Likewise, there can be an error. So accounts, we all know. It can happen that something that was to have accounted for in the last year or last year has not been done. Now it comes to your notice. So that mistake has to be corrected. So how do you correct that mistake? That is covered under Index 8, and that is what we would. Okay. Now Index 10. Index 10 is about events after the reporting period. So naturally, what are the events after the reporting period? Anyone?
Suppose we made a provision just before the balance sheet date
Mm-hmm.
that this it's like a contingent liability that it might happen, and like after reporting period is basically till it is signed by the board of directors in June or whatever.
Fabulous.
So in that period, if it does take place and if it is of a significant value, we have to adjust it as a post period item.
Yes, please join your hands. Give me a very good. So your Index 10 talks about events after the reporting period, but before the accounts are approved, right? So whatever happens in between, if something happens, then you need to examine that event and see as to whether impact of that event need to be built into your financial statements or should not be built into your financial statement, and that's your Index 10. Index 24 is about related party disclosures, and you can see the title itself tells you disclosure. So it is not going to impact your P&L, it is just a disclosure. So if a company has done any transaction with any related party, those related party, please remember, are defined at 3 places. You know what those 3 places are? Related parties are defined at 3 places, and what those 3 places are?
Income tax. Income tax.
Income tax, okay.
Companies Act.
Companies Act is 1, and Index is 2, and then SEBI regulations, right? So these are defined at 3 places. More or less they are same at 3 places, and the whole reason is to ensure disclosure. And please understand, again, go into the root of related party disclosure. Why related party disclosures are part of the index? Why related party disclosures are part of the Companies Act? Why the related party disclosures are part of the SEBI regulations? Because they all relate with the corporate governance. What corporate governance? What the businesses are supposed to be doing, what the owners of the business or the managers of the business, how are they supposed to be running the businesses? Are they supposed to be running the businesses, entering into transactions which are at arm's length, or they are supposed to be doing transactions which are not at arm's length? Everybody? Right? So formal. So they are supposed to be doing the business, indulging into transactions which are at arm's length, right? Now, whether the transactions are at arm's length or they are not at arm's length, how would you know? Unless you define the parameters. So the Index 24 is about related party disclosure. And why is that so? Please remember, why is that so? Because obviously, and I'm sure you can think of 10,000 examples, why related party disclosure is part of the Index or Companies Act or SEBI, and that is because मैक्सिमम गड़बड़ घोटाले जो कि बिजनेस में हो सकते हैं वो कैसे होते हैं थ्रू दी related party transaction, right? And that's the reason. So you have Index 24, which is on related party disclosure. So what is the obligation on the part of the management? The obligation on the part of the management is to ensure that number one, ideally there are no related transactions. But please remember, neither in the Companies Act, nor in the indices, nor in the SEBI regulations, there is no restriction on the related party transaction. Related party transaction के ऊपर कोई restriction नहीं है. The only thing that is required is that you must disclose it. So if you are entering into any related party transaction, number one, let it go to the board of directors. Number two, disclose it to the shareholders, and number three, disclose it to your financial statements also. So that's your Index 24, and you can very clearly see that this is only about the disclosures in presentation. Then you have Index 29, which is financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies. Now that fortunately today is not applicable as far as India is concerned, but it would have become applicable to an economy like Peru or Argentina or Indonesia, some point in time. So countries who, or Venezuela is a classic example, or Russia today, when Russian economy is with this war going on, Russian currency is depreciating like anything. So it is possible there also. So how would you do your accounting in case if your company is falling in the economy of where there are in higher inflationary economies? So that is what it is. that is what Index 29 talks about. So higher inflationary economies would mean when the value of your currency has gone down substantially.
So is there a defined percentage?
Actually, okay. So a defined percentage as such is not there. So basically, you will need to look at the economy and the economic condition of that country, and that's where the management of the company and the auditors put together will need to take a call that are we really in a higher inflationary situation or not actually. तो ऐसा कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आपका इन्फ्लेशन 10% से ऊपर हो गया या 12% से ऊपर हो गया 13% से ऊपर हो गया then you will be falling into the higher inflationary economy. There is no benchmark as such, but you know the economy which are higher inflationary, you do not have to look at the benchmark. You can simply figure it out. So what is happening in Venezuela today? So we know there's a higher inflationary economy today. So
But
that's
if the trend continues for more than a year, say
Huh.
for 5 years or 10 years,
Right.
then we can treat those economies as high inflation, you know? Because if the inflation rates are rising more than 20%
Sure,
or 25% for continuous 3 years
Yes,
or 4 years.
of course. Then you have Index 32, which is on financial instruments presentation. You know, this is one area which is really so vast. There are so many financial instruments that you can think of. So many financial instruments that you can think of. You have financial instruments related to equity, and you also have financial instruments relating to debt. And by the way, general impression is that the size of the equity market is bigger than the size of the debt market. But the fact of life is, equity market globally is about $100 trillion. Equity market globally is about $100 trillion, whereas the debt market is $150 trillion. So the debt market is literally 1.5 times bigger than the equity market. So all the debt instruments that a company may be having, and please remember, so we are, indices when we talk about, we are not talking about only of the manufacturing company or only of the service company or only of the IT company. When we talk about indices, we also talk about the banks, insurance companies and NBFCs. And even in case of manufacturing companies also, there are companies who invest hugely in the debt instruments so as to do the treasury management at their end. Are you with me, everybody? Isn't it? So a company like Bajaj Auto or company like Maruti or company like TCS or Wipro or Infosys. Now ये कंपनियों के पास में there are times when they have so much of money lying with them. And please pay attention, as the future CFOs, all of you, if a company is having too much of cash and if that cash is lying in the bank account, तो ऐसे मैनेजमेंट को शेयर होल्डर्स कच्चा खा जाएंगे. क्यों कच्चा खा जाएंगे? Because मैनेजमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है? मैनेजमेंट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है to ensure that the funds of the company are used and deployed, invested profitably. अगर cash is lying in the bank account, it is not earning anything. That means what? That means what are you doing? What are you earning for the shareholders? You are earning nothing. So all these companies have to put the money invest in lot of securities. Every time you cannot do it in the equity. And why you cannot do it every time in the equity? Because you can invest your money in the equity only when you are sure that this money is available to you for a long period. When you know that this money is not available to you for a long period, it is only for a short period, then what you would do? Then you will not invest this money in the equity, you will invest this money into the debt instruments. So they are fixed income securities. Right? So fixed income security का मतलब क्या है? Fixed income security का मतलब है fixed income security का मतलब है securities that give you a simple, right? But remember, these securities can be embedded securities. And the example of securities are so many. So you got a convertible, fully convertible debenture, partly convertible debenture, and a non-convertible debenture, optionally convertible debenture, foreign currency convertible debenture, so many securities, Government of India bills, treasury bills, corporate bonds, debentures, so many securities. And these securities can be plain one, and these securities can have an embedded security. So what is embedded security? That means a security may have an option built into it. That option can be a call option, that option can be a put option. So all these financial instruments which are owned by a company, they will need to be disclosed in the financial statements, yes or no? And how will they need to be disclosed? They will need to be disclosed in the financial statement at the fair value of those instruments. And that is why you have Ind AS 32, which is on financial instruments presentation as to how to present different one. Then you have Ind AS 33, which is earning per share. So please remember, earning per share, आपको मालूम है पूरी दुनिया में एक नंबर which drives all the top management, you know what that number is? Top management of all the companies all over the world are driven by one number. You know, constantly they are working on one number. You know what that number is? That number is earning per share. That number is earning per share. And please understand, why is this number, EPS, is so significant? And why is that the top management, the managing directors, the chief executive officers, the vice president, the chairman, the presidents, everybody all over the world, the top management, the board of directors, all of them are constantly working to maximize one number of their company, and that number is earning per share. You know why is that? That is because bonuses of the top management all over the world are linked with one number, and that one number is earning per share. And you know why the bonuses of the top people are linked with this one number, earning per share? And that is because if the earning per share of a company goes up, the market price of that company's share also goes up. And please understand, if the market price of company's share goes up on the stock market, the wealth of the shareholders automatically go up. So when the wealth of the shareholders go up, their level of happiness also go up. And when their level of happiness go up, they automatically feel like giving more bonus to the people who are responsible for letting their wealth go up. So earning per share, remember, is one number that is so critical all over the globe. Everybody is driven by earning per share. So this standard 33 is on earning per share. That means what? That means by playing with the earning per share, you can pass misleading information to the people who would be taking decision by reading your number. With a view that it should not happen, you have Ind AS 33. Ind AS 33 क्यों है? Ind AS 33 इसलिए है ताकि all the companies follow the Ind AS 33, thereby present the number of earning per share in a manner which is accurate, reliable, dependable, and relevant. Are you with me? And that is what it is. So in this, you have two kinds of earning per share, and I'm sure all of you would know this. That is number one, basic and diluted, right? So that is what we need to understand, and this Ind AS 33 is about earning per share. Then you got Ind AS 34, which is on interim financial reporting. And what does it mean? It simply means that many times companies would need to prepare interim financial statements. So companies prepare the financial statements for the purpose of reporting and giving it to the shareholders, but they also need to prepare interim financial statement that can be for giving to a bank or to a financial institution or for disclosure to the stock exchanges or as per the SEBI for the shareholder. So how those interim financial reporting standards should be how those interim financial statements should be prepared, Ind AS 34 talks about them. Then Ind AS 102 is share-based payments, meaning what? Meaning sometimes companies make payments not in cash but in kind. So how these payments should be valued and how these payments should be reported, and that is what is your Ind AS 102. Ind AS 105 is on non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. Will somebody like to tell me what is that supposed to be? Anyone? Yeah.
If you have any dilapidated factory buildings or any sort of machinery that you're not going to use, or maybe even something that you're not going to use in your operations, but you're just holding it to sell it off later. So that would come under NJS 105.
Very good. Please join your hands. Give them a applause. Very good.
So these assets are shown differently in the balance sheet also in Schedule 1, as per ADS 1. In the asset side, and it is shown as non-current asset held for sale or discontinued operations, and they don't come under. These assets are not depreciated or they are not
Very good.
amortized. Like they're not depreciated basically.
Will somebody like to tell me why is that so? Whatever he's saying is absolutely right. Why is that so?
Because you wanted a realizable value. So because your intention is to realize it later. So you're going to keep evaluating it.
Okay, let me give you a small case study, all of you. Maruti has a plant in Manesar. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. So it's not that Maruti is doing it. ऐसा नहीं कि Maruti से कुछ करने वाली है. So Maruti has a plant in Manesar, and Maruti realizes कि भाई अपनी capacity बहुत ज़्यादा है. ये plant, okay, let me put it this. Okay, ये plant अपन चलाने वाला नहीं है. So the board of directors of Maruti pass a resolution saying that Manesar plant is to be sold. They go to the shareholders and tell the shareholders Manesar plant is to be sold. Shareholders also approve. Sell the Manesar plant. We have no problem. Now, all the assets and the liabilities of Manesar plant, how will they be disclosed in the balance sheet of Maruti after the board of directors and the shareholders have taken this decision? Where will it be shown? As part of the current assets or as part of the non-current assets? They are non-current assets in any case, as of now.
At realizable value.
Yeah, but where do you show them in the balance sheet? Do you show them as a current asset or as non-current asset? Neither.
It is shown separately.
It is shown separately. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're planning to sell it immediately, it could also be called a current asset.
Okay. Very good. So, please pay attention. How do you define a current asset? Everyone.
Something that will be liquidated within a year.
Within a year. Okay.
Then the normal operating cycle is.
Okay. So let us say the normal operating cycle is 1 year for the moment. So, the current asset is defined as an asset which is likely to get converted into within a period of 1 year. Now, you have passed a resolution in the board meeting, and you also passed the resolution in the shareholders meeting. Manesar plant is to be sold off as soon as possible. Now, company is making the balance sheet 31st March 22. Where should Maruti show this plant in the balance sheet? As part of the current assets or as part of the non-current assets? And please remember, it's not a rocket science. You just need to apply the principles. So what is the principle? Principle is, what is a current asset? Current asset, everybody. What is a current asset? Tell me quickly. Now tell me, this plant is to be sold? Answer is yes. How soon it is to be sold? When earliest possible. So that means what? There is a full possibility that this plant will be sold, and from the sale of this plant, money will be received. So is it your current asset or non-current asset? It is your current asset. So please remember, Ind AS 105, non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operation. Now these assets will be shown separately, not under the non-current assets, because they are no longer non-current assets. Non-current assets are the ones that you intend to hold for infinity and use it for the purpose of your operations. Current assets are the ones which are likely to be converted into cash. ये जो मैनेजर का प्लांट है, आपकी इंटेंट क्या है? जल्दी से जल्दी बेच के इसको बेच डालो और पैसा लेके आ जाओ. पैसा लेके आ गए, इसका मतलब क्या हो गया? Plant is getting liquidated, and therefore Ind AS 105 is about non-current assets held for sale or for discontinued operation. एक प्लांट है, आपने बंद कर दिया. Now please tell me, pay attention. ये प्लांट आपने बंद कर दिया. Will it be correct on your part to show the assets of this plant in your balance sheet as part of your current assets? Will it be correct? It will not be correct. Because why it will not be correct? Because if you are showing this plant that you have discontinued as part of your current non-current assets, जो आपकी बैलेंस शीट को पढ़ेगा उसको क्या लगेगा कि कंपनी के पास में ऑपरेटिंग एसेट्स बहुत ज्यादा हैं, काफी सारी हैं. दैट मींस दिस कंपनी इज गोइंग टू परफॉर्म वेल इन फ्यूचर. वेयरएज ये जो आपने प्लांट डिसकंटिन्यू किया है इसकी इनकम आपको आने वाली नहीं है, लेकिन रीडर को क्या लगेगा इसकी इनकम भी आने वाली है. सो दैट इज द क्रक्स ऑफ द अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. आर यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग? कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंस कि अगर आपने जो प्लांट बंद किया है वो प्लांट को अगर आप रेगुलर एसेट्स में दिखाओगे तो आप क्या गलती करने वाले हो? डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? एंड दैट इज द क्रक्स ऑफ इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड दैट इज योर इंड AS 105 is all about.
So, but if I have an intent to sell something, it's not a discontinued, it's a non-current asset that I have an intent to sell.
Right.
But it's not necessary that I will be able to quickly realize it. Right. It's hard to realize a complete factory, right?
Yes.
So even showing it in current asset would be wrong, right? Even if you have an intention to sell it,
Right.
it will still be wrong to show it in current asset, right?
अब देखो एक बहुत बढ़िया सवाल है, सबसे पूछता हूँ. इन्वेंट्री है ना, और आपका
वो कोई ratio में नहीं आता.
नॉर्मल ऑपरेटिंग वर्किंग कैपिटल साइकिल आपका 1 साल का है ना. तो इन्वेंट्री को आप कहाँ दिखाओगे? ये इन्वेंट्री जो आपके पास में है वो 1.5 साल से वहीं की वहीं पड़ी है, कहाँ दिखाओगे? Current assets. Why? Because what is important is the intent. Intent is important. So it is possible the discontinued operations or this discontinued plant may still remain with you for 2 years, 3 years, because आपको बायर मिलना चाहिए.
Right.
जब तक बायर नहीं मिलेगा आप बेच नहीं पाओगे.
Right.
But what is your intent? Your intent is कि जितना जल्दी मुझे बायर मिले मैं इसको बेच के इससे फ्री हो जाऊंगा. So that is what you have to keep in mind.
So we can't show it in the quick ratio. It can't be a quick asset.
Okay, very good point. Okay, I think that's a good. So his question is कि a plant which company has decided to dispose of, will it be used for the purpose of calculating the current ratio of the company or not?
Current ratio, yes.
Or quick ratio?
I don't think so. I personally don't.
तो क्विक रेशियो में तो वैसे भी क्या आता है? क्विक रेशियो में तो आपकी वो एसेट्स आती हैं which are quickly convertible into cash. तो ये प्लांट तो क्विकली कन्वर्टेबल कैश में नहीं है, तो क्विक रेशियो में तो नहीं आएगा. करंट रेशियो में आएगा कि नहीं आएगा? अब ऐसी सिचुएशन, प्लीज ऑल ऑफ यू प्लीज पे अटेंशन, दैट इज वेयर योर एक्सपर्टीज विल कम टू द फोर. इन ए सिचुएशन लाइक दिस, डोंट कैलकुलेट वन करंट रेशियो, calculate 2 current ratio. One normal current ratio and second extraordinary current ratio. And in that extraordinary current ratio you mentioned that this current ratio has considered plants discontinued also as the current assets as per Ind AS 105. Are you with me? And that is how you should do in real life. Okay. Very good. So do you want to take a break now because it is almost 12 o'clock in the watch there, and we could take a quick break of how much time? 5 minutes or 5 minutes? A comfort break for all of you? Everyone? Yeah. Okay. So मेरी घड़ी में 11:51 है. 5 मिनट यानी 56 मिनट में 56 11:56 से चालू कर देगा.